Welcome to the Bucher and Friends podcast, co-starring 10-year NBA center Ryan Hollins.
Couple pump fakes, leans in, shot blocked by Ryan Hollins. Hollins sent that into the third row.
6 rebounds and 8 assists.
Hollins climbs the stairs.
Down the floor. Ryan Hollins! He is the high jumper!
That's what I want to see. Give me some gunpowder and throw the hammer down.
And now, here is your host,
Let's send it over to Ric Bucher.
Ric Bucher.
Welcome to another episode of Bucher and Blackman, subsidiary of Bucher and Friends, part of the United WeCast Network. I'm Ric Bucher. You can see me on FS1, you can read me on Bleacher Report, and you can follow me on Twitter at Ric Bucher. You can also find me on Instagram at Ric_Bucher. He is Will Blackman. You can follow him. Well, you know who he is. NFL vet, Super Bowl champ. You can follow him on Twitter at Will Blackman, and he's a good follow. That's BLACKMON for those of you who have not found him yet. But you, prior to the show, went to see Godzilla with your son, Ryder, if I'm not mistaken.
I did. We went with my father-in-law, Craig, and Ryder. He's a big Godzilla
3 generations
fan.
Going to check out Godzilla.
Yeah, he's a big Godzilla fan, so he knows all the characters and
Ryder is?
Ryder is, yes. Okay. Yeah, that's him, though. He's into Titans, those type of monsters and dinosaurs, and he knows every kind of dinosaur you can think of, hands down. So, also, with Ryder, I just got his report card. Straight A's. How about that?
When did he get out of school?
He got out a week ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My kids, it's interesting how the school...
He's 8 and he's in a private school.
Okay. My kids are older and they're in a private school. They were out like at the end of May, beginning of June. And they were probably out a week or two earlier than their friends who were in the local public school. It's just it's interesting to me. I don't remember school years being as staggered as seemingly they are from region to region, school to school. Like everybody's taking their own approach to what.
Well, my nephew is in a public school and he got out the end of May as well.
Okay, what's fascinating to me, and I don't know if it's with private schools, but or just private schools, but in California, the number of vacation weeks spread throughout the year. You have spring break. That feels like it's a week. You have ski week. That's a whole week. And then you have, obviously, the normal holidays where you get off well before Christmas and you're off until like past New Year's. I don't remember it being that way. I don't remember having that kind of time off during the year.
Yeah, because like his winter break is long.
Yeah,
his winter break is like we can go on vacation during his winter break.
Yes. I feel as if this is a way of paying teachers less. I mean, not paying teachers more. There's just more time off, so they can go off and be baristas or whatever else they need to do to subsidize their income. All right, Godzilla, did that just come out?
It came out the end of May. I think beginning of June. Yeah, like June 1st, I think that's when it came out.
Okay. Yeah, I felt like it has been out for a while. I was a little surprised.
It has been.
When you said that you were going to see it. All right. In the event, we have other things that are happening that are a little more current. They haven't happened yet. The big one is free agency, obviously. The other one is the NBA draft, which just transpired a couple days ago. And as someone who has been through the draft process, when you watched, there's two things, and Ryan Hollins and I talked about this a little bit the other day. When you watched the kids crying when they were drafted, did you cry? What was your emotion?
Hell no, I didn't cry.
Why hell no?
You watched everybody cry who went in the first round.
Oh, so it's a matter of where you get picked?
Yes.
I've seen guys who cried because they got picked later than they thought.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah, I mean, cry for disappointment.
Yes.
There are some guys who cried because they didn't think they had a chance. You know, there are some guys who cried because they worked hard to get an opportunity. And I've seen guys, cry and celebrate when they went 6th round.
Yeah.
For me, what happened was, so I had a double-edged sword. Like, obviously, everybody knows my story. I played offense and defense. Mm-hmm. Jack of all trades. Didn't really master one, but I can do everything. So when I was being evaluated, some like me at receiver, some like me at corner. I took a pre-draft visit to the Steelers. They said, hey, man, we got a pick at 32. We like you, at receiver, maybe in the 1st. And then I go and talk to Atlanta. They would say, hey, if we end up not getting drafted, we like you as a free agent receiver.
Right.
I talked to the Herm Edwards when he was in Kansas City. They loved me in the 2nd round as a corner. So my range was like 1 through 5. I didn't know where I was going to go.
So when you're getting all that kind of feedback, how do you not begin to entertain the idea that you're going to be a 1st round pick?
Because I hear all kinds of things. Yeah. You hear all these ranges of what's going on. The draft was exciting for me, but here's the kicker: is when you're watching the draft and you see guys that you dominated get picked up
ahead of you.
Yeah. That's where it's like, come on now.
Well, but don't you already question the wisdom or the astuteness of teams when they're telling you where they're going to pick you and you're thinking, oh, dude, you got a completely wrong read, good or bad? Like somebody says you're a 1st round pick and you're kind of assessing the talent. You're going, wow, I'd like to be a 1st round pick, but that even might be high for me. Or somebody says like, hey, we'll pick you up as a free agent like the Falcons did. Do you judge the acuity of various teams based on what you have a feel for when you say, you know what, I know when I look at the talent that's out there, this is where I feel like this is about right. Somebody describing who I am and what I do best. Like I got to think that you get a feel for that from teams, and when they describe you in ways where you go, I don't know if they really know who I am or what I'm good at. Did you experience that?
I did. I honestly thought Kansas City I was going to go there. They met with me so many times, Coach Herm Edwards. I thought that was going to be the place. Yeah, and when I played 1 year as a receiver, and when I talked to the Steelers, I talked to Coach Cowher, Bill Cowher, and he was like, hey, man, we like you. They pretty much don't say where we're going to pick you. They tell us like the picks that they have.
Right.
And they say, hey, we got the 32nd pick, and it's a good spot right there. They end up getting Santonio Holmes. That worked out for them.
Mm-hmm. That worked out for them.
Yeah, I was not upset when they got him.
Right.
It was other defensive backs. I'm like, man, not only that, but I seen these guys at the Combine. I seen these guys at the Senior Bowl. Oh, I played again. They actually covered me. There was some, and I'm like, wow, So when it was a blessing to get the call. One, I got the call in the 4th round, and then it happened to be Green Bay. I was like, dude, where is Green Bay? I was like, oh.
So how much interaction had you had with them?
This was interesting too. So at the Combine, I met with Coach Jimmy, who was the receivers coach, and he grilled me on X's and O's. He was like, hey, put me on the board. And luckily, I had a really good offensive coordinator in Dana Bible, who now is with Chip Kelly at UCLA as a senior advisor. But he taught me a lot of the X's and O's. So I killed that. And then when they called me, I was like, oh, shoot, I'm probably going to be catching passes from Brett Favre. He's going to be my quarterback. And they said, yeah, it was George Kuntz that called. He said, hey, yeah, well, we're going to get you with this next pick. I think it was 114, I forget. We like you at defensive back. We're going to pick you as a corner. I was like, all right, cool.
Huh.
And then I got the call. I was away from home because I was getting annoyed. I came back home. My dad was excited. Everybody was excited. And I was like, all right, let's go do it.
So where were you when the draft went down?
I went to a hotel. I just went and got a hotel room.
By yourself?
Yeah, I was at home for the draft, and then I just left and just got a hotel room. And I was like, man, I don't feel like watching this stuff right now.
Okay, so hold on. So you're at home
I was at home.
Watching the draft with your family?
Yes.
Family and friends? How many people were there?
I don't remember. It was real intimate.
Okay. And then
small group.
Once you were picked, you left.
before I was picked.
Oh, so everybody came over to the house to watch the draft?
Yeah.
And then you left?
Yeah, I left. I was annoyed, dude. I left
by what?
the third. When the third round hit, and I seen a bunch of defensive backs go before me that I swore I thought I was better than.
Right. So you got mad.
Yeah, I got pissed off.
And you left everybody and went to a hotel.
Listen, they respect my decision, man.
I'm not saying they didn't.
My family knows me though. They weren't weird about like, oh damn, Will left us. They didn't care.
Did you take any of the hors d'oeuvres or drinks with you? I mean, imagine it was kind of like a party setting, right?
Nah, it was
you
just
had a bowl of chips or something, right?
It wasn't like a huge draft party, like the video that Fred Van Fleet put out. It wasn't a huge draft party like that. It was like just some of my siblings came over. They both did, just had a few people over.
Okay. And then the guest of honor split.
Peaced out, bro.
So so wild.
Huh?
All right. Interesting.
Yeah.
So you didn't cry. You were throwing things.
No, I didn't. I wasn't that type of guy. I didn't throw tantrums.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You just left.
Anyhow.
It's good stuff. All right. So as you're watching, here's the other part, and this is fascinating for me from your perspective. I get the TV business. We like to show emotion. We like to catch people in emotional settings. And having kids up there, young men, draft picks, up there with their parents and asking the question, what does it mean? What does it mean for you to see your son? Or what do you want to tell your dad? What about this moment? You're going to get an emotional response. Right. 9 times out of 10.
My dad was emotional.
Yeah.
When I came
on
home,
the phone?
No. When I came home, he was excited and emotional.
Yeah. So
I wish I had stayed so I could stay home to see it on TV, but I was really that annoyed. The whole process was stressful alone for me. Just playing 3 years at corner, then going to receiver, then going to the Senior Bowl as a corner, and then going to the combine as a receiver, and then when the combine was over, I got asked to stay after and do defensive back drills.
Did you ever resent or regret being as flexible and malleable as you were, as agreeable as you were? Hey, what do you want me to do? I'll try to do it. Do you ever feel as if, if I'd kind of been a little more difficult, maybe it would have served me?
Yeah, I trust me. I look back at it a lot. Like there were some times where I'm like, man, I should have been a little more firm with stuff. Even something as small as this. Playing a sport, guys are in particular on what they wear, socks, shoes, cleats, whatever. In your case, soccer boots, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And there was when I got the incoming freshman form for Boston College. They like, hey, what are your glove sizes? What are your shoe sizes? What is your preference helmet? And I was so in tune with my gear. I knew not only the helmet style, but the face mask code. So I knew the code to the face mask I wanted. And so I put all that in there, and I'm like, man, this is the one face mask I had. And if you obviously you look at my office, every face mask is the exact same. Mm-hmm. And this is what I wanted. So when I showed up to BC, and I was the number 1 recruit for 3 years. So I showed up, and in my locker they had the new Revolution helmet that Peyton Manning wore. And I was like, nah, dude. Like, this is not the helmet that I want to wear.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, you got to, all our incoming freshmen are wearing it. You have to wear it. And I'm like, dude, like, this is not what I put on my form at all. Like, I can't play with this helmet. They're like, nah, you got to wear it. Everyone has to wear it. So I'm like, all right, well, I was pissed off, and I was like, fine. If everybody has to wear it, then I'll wear it. And I did not like it. And that helmet bothered me. It pissed me off my whole career. I wish I had not gone out to practice. I wish I just sat there and stood firm and was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not.
Interesting.
Something simple. Yeah. And then same thing too, going when I had the meeting with my coach, when he asked me to switch to offense, this is right after I read, I forget which report it was, but I was number 2 corner behind Jimmy Williams in the country. 2 or 3, I forget. I know it was top 5. And I just read that. He brought me to the office and said, hey, we need you to think about, playing some receiver. I was like, no way. And I left. So I had another meeting. Same thing. I was like, it's not happening. And then had another meeting. I mean, they were really, really pushy. And I was like, okay, I'll try out receiver. And if it works out, I still get to play defense. I get to play both ways. So I tried out receiver. And not only did I do well, but I won the starting X job, which is the main receiver.
Yeah.
So that means I was going to play majority offense and then some sub on defense. And I just did that because I looked at the bigger picture. I'm like, okay, we graduated 3 senior receivers that were really good for us, in our system. And the only guy that was really dangerous with the football was a punt returner who played corner, and it was me. So I'm like, okay, if I go over here, we have Matt Ryan, who's a good, really, really good quarterback. Yeah. He's gonna be there on the money. And I love having the football. That's how I got recruited. I had the football in my hands. And so I'm like, all right, I'll do it if it's going to help us. So there are certain things where I wish I was more firm. I'm glad I switched to offense to help our team. However, to your point, it gave me incredible value in the NFL. It allowed me to play a multitude of positions. Even there was one point in Jacksonville where Justin Blackman got suspended, our receiver, and a couple of other guys were injured. And Dave Caldwell and Gus Bradley knew my history. They said this dude was an all-ACC receiver. So I had to stay after with Chad Henne and Blaine Gabbert and literally just run routes and catch passes for them. They wanted to see, hey, I know it's been a while. Can he still do this stuff?
Yeah.
And I ended up becoming an emergency receiver, and I had a short package just in case they needed me to go in on Sunday.
Interesting.
So I still return punts. So, yeah.
So if the TV broadcast crew, if the NFL Network had called and said, hey, we want to put a camera on you and your dad when you get drafted, or we want to interview you with your dad when you get drafted, would you have done it?
Yep.
And would you have cried in that situation?
Nope.
Are you sure? You're sure?
Positive, man. It takes... I can't get emotional, but it takes a lot for me to cry.
Gotcha.
It does.
Got you. This is why it felt... look, I love seeing...
Hold on. Let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
If I had a camera on me and I got taken in the first 2 rounds, I would have cried.
Okay, because it would have exceeded your expectation?
It would have met my expectation.
Okay. All right.
Damn, this is what I sacrificed for.
Got you.
This is why I switched, after switching, and it's crazy because even talking to my coaches now, I ran into one of my coaches at the Under Armour All-American camp. I actually helped coach that. And my coach, he runs the whole program there, and he was like, they're like, oh, I remember Will at BC. He was like, yeah, man, we totally messed him up, man. We messed him up.
Wow.
I was like, he was like, yeah, when you came over, we knew, man, you had first-round potential, and we totally screwed it up for you.
In terms of having you play wide receiver. If you just played DB, you would have been a first-round pick as a DB.
Me going to offense totally screwed me up. He said, yeah, we did, man. And I just laughed because I already thought about all that stuff.
Yes, no doubt.
He said, we totally just messed him up, man. This is the same guy that recruited me to go to BC.
Yeah.
So, man, it's funny.
Well, and it's funny how you look at we're talking about all this largely because of the NBA draft. And I can tell you that there are guys that, both good and bad, because of their college system, they end up looking better than they actually are, and they benefit from that. And then there are other guys that aren't featured in it, and as a result, you don't know all the things that they can do. And
Michael Jordan.
What's that? Michael?
Like Jordan.
Michael, yeah, Jordan as an extreme example, yeah. But there's other guys, and this is the other tricky part is that so much of this, and I would say in this particular draft, this goes all the way to Zion Williamson. There's not a guy excluded in this draft that where he goes and how they fit the team around him, what coach he has and what system they play, what player development staff they have, is going to have a huge influence on who ultimately succeeds. There are a handful of guys every year, not every year, most years. There are a handful of guys who, no matter where they got drafted, they're going to be a success. The level of success, I think, still can be influenced by who's running the show. You go to an organization that doesn't have veteran leadership, that doesn't have a strong culture, there are so many guys who could have been playing in the league, who could have had quality careers, who never make it out. And
100%.
And as a result, we know what bothers me is they're labeled as busts. And it's like, no. Don't, like, they're busts. It's not on them. Like Michael Olowokandi, for example. Now, he might have had contributed to it. But the reality is, you get drafted by the Clippers, with the way the Clippers were run at that time, chances are you're not going to be what you could be. Even a guy who ended up being as successful as Lamar Odom, who he was drafted by, what he came up with, like, you have to survive that and go someplace. Ron Harper, another example with the Cavs, and when he came in, he ended up making himself into a player. There are guys that end up doing it anyway, but they really have to have something special about them. There are plenty more guys who go to the wrong organization at the wrong time, and their hopes and dreams are shattered. This is the other thing that I've always wanted to write about. I told Ryan Hollins this, that when somebody is waived, in many cases, and maybe not as much in the NFL, you get another crack at it, but in the NBA, largely if you're waived and you're waived early on, your dreams have just taken a turn that you're not going to recover from. You might go play pro in Europe. You might be able to continue to play professionally on some level, but chances are, if you're waived, you're not getting another crack in the NBA.
Especially if you did not get a chance.
Yes.
To show anything.
Yes, which also happens. Well, you get a chance to show it in practice. Like you don't necessarily get a chance to show it in games, and people probably.
But that's what I mean, though. But that's where it is, though. You know, you see a lot of practice heroes in the pros, and then once the lights come on, it's like, yo,
and vice versa. Guys who may not be great practice players, but they can take it to the next level when the lights come on. There are guys like that too.
100%.
I have always wanted to write. See, I've always wanted to do a story on a guy who's waived, who's 23, 24 years old and gets waived, and what that next 48 hours is like. Where do you go from there? And I've never found somebody who's wanted to do it, once because nobody's anticipating that they're going to get waived, and for the most part, and two, it's a very vulnerable time. And I get it. But for me, I would want to do the story because it is so human. You've spent your entire life wanting to be this particular thing. And in most careers, in most jobs, like, okay, so you don't get that internship, or you don't get the first job you apply for, or whatever. It doesn't mean you don't have another 20 years to pursue that career.
Right.
But in professional sports, it's like at a very tender age, it's suddenly, oh, damn, I got to go do something else. And depending on how much that has been your identity and how well you were able to prepare for a second career, it can be really challenging. And I wish, but see, the teams put out like a 3-sentence release, and you see it on the ticker. Or back when people read newspapers, you'd get the transactions in the really small type in the back of the sports section. And I'd read that, and I'd think, God, somebody's life, somebody's dream just died in this really tiny type. In these 12 words capture a fundamental dynamic change in this person's life. And people just kind of happens and we move on. And I've always wanted to give that more.
And that retrospect for everyone else, that's what it is. It happens and we move on. I think a big part of when a player gets drafted, this is what happens. This is where a lot of coaches lack. Is when you get a young player, you get a rookie. The first thing they tell you is, "Hey man, be a pro. Learn how to be a pro. Ask some of these vets. Watch so and so. Go be a pro." It's like, dude, I don't know how to be a freaking pro. I just got here.
Right.
How am I supposed to know what to do? And then if you don't figure it out, then it's a wrap. And the reason I mention that is because I trained a cornerback this year, Sean Bunting, out of Central Michigan. He went second round to the Buccaneers. And
everybody write that name down. Sean Bunting, Bucks. Follow him. Let's see how he does. Let's get awesome. A fan. Let's get a.
He's gonna kill it.
A fan.
So his cornerback coach is Kevin Ross. Kevin Ross texted him damn near every night to make sure that he was studying his playbook. Every night, mentoring him, telling him what to do. Make sure you do this. Make sure you do that. Hitting him up, letting him know, these are the things you need to do to be better. That's what you're supposed to do as a coach. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't know.
Right.
They don't know how to go here and watch them because they're coming in because they were the guy. You know?
Well, there's also, you're saying be a pro, watch how the vets do it. That's if you have really good vets. That's if you have vets that are willing to share what it is that they do and that their habits are
right.
Good
Are they
pro
willing
habits.
to share? Are they willing to share? Are they going to take time out of their day?
Yeah. Well, and not be threatened by the competition.
Usually the good vets aren't. They aren't.
Okay.
The good vets.
Not every team has that.
No, that's true. But the good vets that are really successful, they're not worried about you. They are aware, so they stay on their toes.
Yeah.
But they're like, hey, you have a question, ask me. I'll help you. But I'm gonna do my part too. I'm gonna take care of what I take care of.
Right.
But yeah, that's the hardest thing is guys come in here. Not only are you learning to be a pro, but now you have responsibility. You gotta buy or rent a house. You gotta buy or rent a car.
Gotta be an adult.
You gotta be an adult.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no class for that in college. To be an adult right now.
Damn well should be.
It needs to be.
The good agents prep guys on that.
They try.
Yeah.
They try. What happens is usually when you have the combination of parents who get it and are involved and agents. When you get that combination, that's where it succeeds.
I'm glad you brought that up because that brings us back to what I started with, which is the involvement of the parents. And I was kind of struck by John Morant. And there's a lot of video, his dad training him and doing things with him. Dad can still crush it. And so the involvement of parents on one hand is good, but it can go too far. And I've seen a lot. And like I would say LeVar Ball is an example of it going too far. Like where does it...
And how so though?
Because there is supporting your kid. There's doing everything you can for your kid. And then there's utilizing your kid for your own shine. Like, for example, I don't think it was any accident that Jackson Hayes, drafted 8th, going to the Pelicans. It was originally the Hawks pick. Jackson Hayes' dad is Jonathan Hayes. Played tight end for the Chiefs and the Steelers. Longtime tight ends coach for the Bengals. Is now the head coach of the XFL St. Louis team. When Jackson Hayes went up there, who may be in some ways the youngest of the lottery picks in not just calendar age, just young kid, blossomed late, didn't start until his senior year, I think, in high school. 1 year at Texas. Dad was nowhere to be seen. Dad was not up there doing the interview. I don't think that's by accident. I think Jonathan Hayes has been through this. He's like, no, you know what, Jackson? This is your time. You go up there. You go do this deal. Because the reality is, it's going to be your deal going forward. You might as well get used to this now. I don't think it's by accident. I don't know that. I don't know that per se. But that's where, and because with LeVar, like, my feeling is LeVar ultimately undermined Lonzo. Because LeVar and Magic both hyped the kid so much and were such a distraction at times that you didn't focus on Lonzo and what he is. I think he's a pretty good player. I think he's going to be okay. I don't know that he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I don't know that he's going to be an all-star, but he's a good player. But we don't think of him that way.
I think this is going to help him change and out of California.
Yeah, I think so too.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
Okay, but hasn't there already been an opportunity lost with the Lakers that you have to get traded?
Not really. Sometimes that's just how it is. Sometimes you just got to get traded just to get a fresh start.
But what did he necessarily do other than the injuries? What did Lonzo do to be as criticized and labeled overrated and take all the grief that he's taken? He didn't come out and say, I'm going to have my jersey retired by the Lakers. He didn't say, hey, without me, LeBron James can't win championships. Magic and LeVar did all that. That's where I felt bad for the kid. And so, that's my point being, parents can be a little too visible. They can be too involved. I don't believe that all support is good support. There's some support that it's like, hey, you know what? You're not doing your kid any favors. You may have pride, you may have expectations, but you can go too far.
I would say LeVar does not have the best timing. I can agree with that. He doesn't have the greatest timing, but he loves his kids.
Oh, but look, I'm not saying he doesn't.
I'm not saying you did. You said that. I'm not saying you said that. I'm just saying my side, that he loves his kids, and he goes above and beyond. And sometimes when he goes beyond, it's a little excessive. Now, the day I hear his kids saying it's a problem,
yeah.
If they ever, then that's
are you going to do that as a kid? I don't even know that I would. I don't even know that I would do that, even if I felt it. That I would say that publicly about my parents. I might tell them that. I might say, "Hey, you're not doing me any favors," but I don't know that I would tell the world. Like I wouldn't tell the world that.
Yeah, I don't think they would do that either. But I feel like he's so chill because he dealt with his dad his whole life. So he's probably like, it is what it is. This is just my dad. It is what it is.
You know, it's so interesting because Jordan Crawford, who played in the NBA, I think he played in China this past season, was with the Pelicans at the end of the previous season, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I like Jordan. I respect Jordan. And I obviously respect you. And Jordan, like you, defends LeVar to a certain extent. It says, hey, he's involved in your kid, and with his kid, he loves his kid, and I don't dispute any of that. But I believe like that parenthood requires a little bit more than that if you're really going to do what's best for your kid. I'm not convinced for all that LeVar. I don't question his heart. I don't question his intention, but his actions and what they've produced, I don't think he's done Lonzo completely right. I think he's undermined his kid. It wasn't his intention. I believe that wholeheartedly. It was never his intention. But I don't believe that he's done right by Lonzo.
That's debatable too, because at the end of the day, Lonzo, out of all the brothers, is clearly the best basketball player.
Some think LaMelo's better.
Well, we'll see, because now, Lonzo went number 2 in the draft. Okay,
True.
So we'll see. You know, and I think in terms of
that also has to do with the draft that you're in, much like we were talking about this year's draft. I mean, I don't know about you, like Zion Williamson is, and I've made this comparison before, he's not Lonzo Ball, but I fear that he will suffer from the same thing, from the overhype that Lonzo Ball received.
I don't think so.
Why not?
Because he plays almost like he receives that energy. That's how he plays.
I hadn't heard that before. That's interesting. That's an interesting thought. I feel as if what he's expected to be at the NBA level.
His style fits the hype. It
has fit the hype at the collegiate level. I don't know if that's going to translate to the NBA. I don't know that he's going to be dunking on everybody in the NBA. That's what I'm saying.
He just might.
He might. He might not. He might not.
All right. We'll see.
So, before we ultimately wrap this up, there's one other thing.
My guy Romeo Langford went to the Celtics, just letting you know.
Yeah. Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
The guy I mentioned, said watch out for, went to the Celtics.
And we'll see how that plays out. The Celtics, who had a lot of draft picks and were already young, and I'm still trying to find that. Not going to have Al Horford and Kyrie Irving. Celtics are going to be an interesting story, but I don't know if it's going to be necessarily a good one. Before we depart, I have to ask you, and this is in conjunction with all this other stuff. I saw that Stephen A. put out a tweet about the black sons and the black fathers, and how great it was to see black fathers being represented in a supportive role, and to change the narrative on black fathers. How great it was to see that. And maybe in the black culture that it's more cognizant. I've never looked at black fathers and said the stereotype is that they're absentee. I think there's absentee fathers and there's supportive fathers in every walk of life, white, black, whatever. And I don't know. It just kind of
you see it more in sports. I would say, especially when you see draft nights, it's always you rarely see the dad and the mother with the kid. You usually see the mother.
Well, actually, we saw both. We saw some guys with their moms.
I just meant in general. I meant just overall, like NFL draft, NBA draft. I'm saying those two because you have majority African American players getting drafted.
Right.
You rarely see it. So and in terms of that narrative, I get it. But I mean, this one was just, this was just how it was. It was just like the minority in the case. It was a rare case where you saw a lot of present dads there.
Yeah.
In the draft.
And I guess my question is, does it change the narrative seeing that on NBA draft night? Like, I
don't know, because next year you might see no dads.
Well, and I feel like, guys that are unique enough to be in the NBA draft, that's like a subset of a society that is so thin and small. The percentage of guys that could qualify that I'm going to take them and their situation as a reflection of an entire culture, one way or the other, good or bad. I don't know. It struck me as, honestly, I felt like Stephen A. was reaching. I thought he was trying to this makes a statement that I'm going like, nah, I don't.
But that's how it is. Sometimes you gotta just throw something out there in the ocean, and a bunch of fish. You might get a school of fish biting on that hook just to start something. Like I got on Ryan today because he's arguing with Max Kellerman about LeBron being better than Jordan, and I was like, dude, like, is this like a social media strategy you learned from a publicist that you're trying to do?
Yeah, I saw.
Or are you practicing to be a defense attorney?
I love my podcast mates arguing with each other on Twitter. It was entertaining for me.
But that's what he does, though. He's going to make an argument. He's going to purposely be the antagonist.
See, do you think he is? This is the thing that troubles me, and I'm going to bring it up with Ryan. This is the thing that troubles me with his whole LeBron James is the best player ever, right? There's a lot of things when it comes to basketball that Ryan and I agree on. That we see the game in the same way, and our insights are similar, our instincts are similar. And then he says, and I don't think he says things just to be outrageous. I do believe that he truly believes these things when he says something.
He won't go back on his word, so he'll defend it to the death.
Okay. Even though you know that he realizes, you know what, I went too far.
Maybe LeBron scared the hell out of him one game.
See, you, the same as I, are looking for an explanation for him to be on that, to take that stand.
Like, do you truly feel that way? Are you just having fun on TV and on Twitter?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes people just do that. Like, something small. So I got invited to our son's school's golf outing. It was like a dad's golf outing.
Okay.
And one group asked me, I said no. I'm good. I said maybe. And then another group asked me, and I just like, no. And I just had fun saying no to all these groups in some weird psychotic way.
Right.
And I just feel like with Ryan, he just loves to just go, because you know him, as soon as you give him any pushback, he's going to go all in.
Right.
All in. You know, just like when he was arguing with Shaq, you know, on First Take, he'll just go all in. Yeah. Especially when Shaq's like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He just loves to do it. Even before I knew Ryan, I was like, man, he just loves to argue. But he's entertaining because he'll go all in. He could be dead wrong. That's why I was like, dude, you should just be a defense attorney. Go find some guy who on camera smiled, waved with his mask off, robbed a bank, and just killed everybody, and you would defend him in court. It wasn't him. I promise you, it wasn't him.
God, to see that dude as an attorney in a court case, my God, I would pay money for that. I would. Yeah, I would. I'd get season tickets.
Dude,
when's your next case, dude? I'll be there.
He would win everything.
100%. All right. That does it for this episode of Bucher and Blackman, subsidiary of Bucher and Friends, part of the United WeCast Network. Keep in mind, we love the ratings. We have 100 top ratings now on iTunes. So thank you, all of you, for that. But continue to rate us however you rate us. Leave us a comment if you like. If not, that's fine too. But screenshot the review and send it to @BucherFriends, and you'll be eligible to win some prizes. In the next podcast, it will be Will and myself once again. I am going to the NBA Awards in LA. I'm just flying down for the day and flying back. But I will be there, and we will go over who wins MVP, Rookie of the Year, all of the awards. I'll give you insight into what I see, because the red carpet there is like nothing else. Everybody who's anybody in the NBA or around the NBA comes in. I'll get a chance to catch up with a number of people. We'll give you the insight into that. It probably won't come out until Tuesday, the day after, because I'll be flying back late that night, so we won't be able to record at our usual time. So it'll be out a little bit late, but we will get it out, and Will and I will discuss it at length. In the meantime, as always, thanks for listening.